7 o'clock now, so we'll call the meeting to order.
That's because I'm a slow driver.
Any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, somebody wish to move the agenda? Wow. Any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to the previous minutes. Any questions? Hearing none.
As always, they look great. I'll move those.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the correspondence, Alberta Rec and Parks Associate Professional Development Workshop. Any question on that correspondence?
I'm sure Bonnie gets this. Does she take these courses?
She does from yes, from a series of different associations.
This one here, I think, is leaning more towards an
The
elected
counselors,
official.
yeah.
Counselors.
But again, it's not really, I guess in a way it's pertinent, but it's not. Okay, moving on to the Alberta Culture and Tourism Stars of Alberta Volunteer Awards.
Do you know if this went out to, like, say, the Lions and Kinsmen and other organizations in town, Heritage Society?
I'm not sure.
We could copy them.
I think that'd be a good idea because, I mean, personally, I don't know specifically from each organization who does a lot of volunteer work. And I know we've had in the past people that have won this from Vulcan.
Oh, probably at least half a dozen associations.
So did you want to move it?
Make a motion
Yeah,
that we
that-
forward this on to
forward
the
to-
service groups
yeah.
in there.
And if they've already received it, then great, but
Okay, so Varna moves that we send this on to the service groups and archives or all those groups. Any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, moving on to the Canadian Badlands media release.
This is something that tourism kind of does, or would be doing, or be in charge of, wouldn't it, for social media?
Oh yeah, for sure. And this, we are a member of the Badlands and attend regularly, so that their feedback for something like this, we of course don't have at this point a dedicated staff member for that.
It's unfortunate, there's a misspelling on the date, but, well, I should say misspelling, they picked the wrong day. Because today is July 9th, not Friday. Not that matters. But. Okay, moving on to the Municipal Fire Administration Officers. They're looking for sponsorship by the way I read it.
is this something that we've ever participated in before?
I don't believe so.
It is, I couldn't find anything on there, and it looks like it went out to all municipalities.
To be honest with you, this is the first time I've ever seen anything on it, but
Yeah,
I'm not
so,
seeing it. I mean, I know it says it's been up and running for 14 years, but
Having said that, it may be something that could be sponsored through the fire budget that we put together, whether. So,
Would they have a copy of this?
I would
yes,
imagine.
that if you read the name on the bottom,
No, I didn't.
if you look at the email address under the young lady that sent it,
She's the Secretary of Trust Services.
Okay.
I think they have an idea.
Maybe not, maybe she's speaking of this script.
Maybe isn't great.
Okay,
But yes.
I didn't,
No,
I
yeah,
didn't
they-
even recognize her name.
They are aware of it, yeah.
Okay, so any questions on any of those four?
I'll review his information.
Okay, George Lee, thank you. Any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Oh, moving on to new and unfinished business, the Historical Society approval to renovate a historic building, bring it up to historic standards.
Just reading through this, so if it was to be fixed up the way Dave said, that would take it off the historical?
We couldn't do it.
Yeah,
We couldn't do it, period.
Okay.
yeah.
We have to get permission to do any renovations, and they have to be pre-approved. And if not, then you have to go through the process to have it removed from the list prior to you doing the renovations.
Right, okay.
So
And Fraser Shaw mentioned in
he's willing to come out,
Nancy's memo,
Right.
which I think would be a good thing.
he's very knowledgeable on this, and he will say, yeah, well, you really shouldn't use PVC windows, but we can justify it.
So one of the things, the roofing, when we questioned him about it, there was no questions.
Yeah.
So, but there was questions on the cement board, because it of course has to, one of the things that if you took the opportunity to do the research into it a little bit further, the siding and the moldings on the windows are something that identify that as a historic building. So any change to that has to be done according to the, I guess, to keep it in check with the historical value of the building.
And unfortunately, I think in their, the good intentions on their behalf, to try and say they'd like to improve these areas, but unfortunately, I think that's the downfall, is that people don't realize that, you run into that when you do, so.
So we went through it, and I don't think that they are, they brought it forward. I don't think that they considered the historical stuff when they did their original quotes. So when Nancy and I pulled the information, we then asked Alberta Culture and Tourism their opinion. They gave it to us, we brought it back, and that's why we kind of drafted the motion the way that we did, that you deny at this point the full request, but then Nancy, myself, the Historical Society, and Alberta Culture and Tourism can get together, determine how the improvements can be completed that maintains the value, the historical value of it, and that Nancy can then approve it when it's done, so it doesn't have to come back to council. Because there are portions of it that can be done right now, so rather than trying to give a real detailed bunch of motions to try to let them get there, well, if you agree with letting them go ahead and trust Nancy that make sure that from administration we make sure that the historical value stays there, then you can give us directions to do that. The only concern was the siding.
With that,
Okay, Laura moves to deny the request.
yes. And did you talk with the Historical Society about this?
Not in, just that we were bringing it to council and,
Okay. And do they realize why?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
Okay, any further comments, questions on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to Chief Administration Officer's holidays.
I think we should deny this one, shouldn't we?
I thank Karen for putting it in the order you did, because if you do give me holidays, then you can cancel the meeting, but if you don't, you have to have a meeting without me. So, I did thank her for the order that they're in.
I'll move this
Okay, Paul
for
moves
approval.
to approve the request for,
And the only reason I bring them forward is because they're more than a week.
okay, any question on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, and then moving on to the one that, quite often in the summertime, we get rid of one meeting, because usually we have less correspondence and less information. And so the request is our thought is to have, remove one of the meetings in August and unless something emergent comes up, so request is August 27th.
One of the reasons why we picked August 27th, it's usually the first or second meeting in August. One of the reasons that we chose August 27th is, again, it allows you guys as counselors to have a little time as well. There's a 3-week, that's the window that there's a 3-week break between the end of July meeting and the middle of August. If you cancel the 27th, it then gives you a 4-week to the next meeting. So it gives you some time to pick and choose and spend time with your families. You're be able to do your own summer holidays as well.
Okay, so George Lee moves it. Any quick?
Sorry. One thing that I was going to comment on is this has been several years running. Rather than waiting till the middle of the year to do it, I will probably bring it back at the organization meeting. You pass your next year's worth of meetings at the org meeting. We might just leave it off the list.
And then we just put it on if something emergent comes up.
And if something needs to be dealt with, the mayor can call a meeting.
I would like that, because then it allows, when you're trying to book to be
Yeah.
away, which ones you can
Yeah.
pick.
Okay, so any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, moving on to local improvements. As it's explained, Kim met with all the landowners. And it's fairly self-explanatory that there's 2 that would like to see water and sewer, but there's a substantial cost to that.
I think we would all like to see water and sewer, but
Yeah.
there's $750,000 there.
Right, so basically what it came down to is, we talked to all the owners. Everybody was in favor of developing the road. 2 were in favor of, 1 was in favor only if the water and sewer was included. The other mentioned that they would like to see the water and sewer included. So what we did is we went back, got the cost estimates that you guys saw at the $1.5 million. The issue that really comes up with is for doing it the way that you have identified that you would like to complete it by using your contingency reserve and the MSI grant funding. We only have $1.1 million available in MSI funding. And you only have the $200,000 in your contingency reserve. So
We don't have.
we'll be $200,000 short in reserve funding if you're trying to go ahead. So it puts you in a position where we'd have to borrow the funds. So then again, going and borrowing ups the cost to the property owners, again, 1/3, because of course you have to start charging the interest that it'll cost for the project. So basically, we brought it back for council, because like I said, you will have 1 that will oppose. You still have the majority that are in favor of going ahead. And it's, again, at the end of the day, it's the development of the road. It's that start of you've all known from the strategic planning and all of that, that the cost of that was about $1.2 to $1.5 million. And that was the reason why it hasn't been done so far. So I just wanted you to be aware of the overall conversations that we've had with the property owners. We haven't done anything formal, so if you do decide to go ahead, we will send out the letter saying that we're moving forward with this unless we receive petition otherwise. And, or you can direct me to make a new local improvement plan based on the 1.5 million. And I have to bring that back for other options, of course, borrowing being one of them.
So how much is it without this water and sewer?
740,000. It's about half.
Now, that doesn't stop us from putting water and sewer at another time either, though. You know, get the base work done, all they do is just open it up. It's very similar to what they do here anyway. You know, the top, but if they're gonna go into paving, they're gonna take the top layer back off anyway and redo it, so. They won't put filter cloth down on this one.
Yeah, they'll core it down 3 feet, filter cloth pit rather
Oh, okay.
than the top. So it'll be very similar to what they did on Sinclair Road, and I don't know if everybody remembers that. Sinclair Road up until 2001 was just a gravel road with curb and gutter down the side. And then I believe it was 2001, they did a local improvement to pave there. It of course had the infrastructure under the ground, but it was a gravel road for many, many years,
Yeah.
from 80 until 2000, so 20 years was gravel road.
So if we did the services 2-3 years down the road, how much would it increase the cost?
Probably just mobilization
Yeah, the costs aren't going to change a whole bunch other than, of course, the
cost.
elevated cost of construction. That, it's a hard question to answer, Paul.
I realize that.
It's, you know, if we would have constructed it in 1981 when it was developed, it would have been a lot cheaper than it is now.
Basically, the answer I'm looking is for substantially, not too substantial, minimal, not trying to pin you down to numbers or anything.
Well,
So you've got
again,
that-
they
you've got
shouldn't
that
affect
here.
the curb and gutter,
Yeah,
you know, tall or very little. The majority of the base work will be done. So all they'll do is they'll open cut it, like they normally do a normal street. The only difference might be they might have to patch the filter cloth, put another layer of filter cloth that layers over the other filter cloth, but it's not that big a deal.
structurally, they would just remove all of the material to the side, dig in the infrastructure.
So
place-
not
place-
substantial.
It's still a tremendous amount of work, but it wouldn't be substantial cost-wise. It comes down to the doubling cost of the infrastructure.
Yeah, and the
And
value
how
of it too.
important is it
Yeah.
right now?
And it does put us in a bit of a financial, we have to really contemplate whether we could afford it, because we're gonna have to borrow the money. Whereas. right now-
And/or it affects your, by using the majority of your MSI, it affects the ability to keep going with the regular street program as well, because you'd use up all of
What
that.
are we at in our borrowing power right now?
Oh, we've got lots of.
We've got lots, we're about 49, 50% right now, so.
So we have room. The only downfall about it is that, you know, kind of changes our, bit of our direction, but, and, you know, then we'll have to go back to all the landowners anyway and say, you know, your costs are gonna go up, gonna double. And you might get a couple of them that are saying, no, we don't wanna pay for the water and sewer at the moment, because we're not gonna improve our resale of our property right at the moment. So we might be in the same state, if not worse than what we are now. We might lose one person saying yes because of they want water and sewer, but we might find that we lose 4 or 5 because it doubles their cost too, so.
And again, it goes back to that conversation that we had at the strategic planning, you know. Right now, we don't know the exact use of all of the lots. And, you know, we may look very foolish if we put in 3/4 inch water line services and they need 6 inch or 8 inch pipe going into it for the use of the lots, so, you know. Want to make sure that we have all of that information when we do the development. The owner that does, that is only in favor of it, if it has infrastructure, is kind of uniquely placed right in the middle. So, and he stands to gain the most by having the water and sewer go by. But on the other side of it, that road development will also increase the lot value, because of course, he'll have front road access to his lot after we have it developed. So it's kind of a catch.
And if we had a bunch of people knocking on our
Yeah,
door, it would make it easier to decide.
It's $750,000 to build the road, and it's 1.5 to have the infrastructure road there. It's on our strategic plan of something to do. It's something that council has discussed for many years. It's just deciding if taking that risk of spending that money is going to be a benefit to the owners and the town for development. So.
Being that there is kind of that questionability, is it necessarily the most financially responsible thing, trying to be conscious of, like, I mean, that's a huge difference. You know, just to have that, not even,
And it's not the first time we've phased infrastructure. The problem is and kind of, we joke, not really joked about it, but we made light of it when we were putting together the local improvement plan for you guys to review in the first place. We knew the costs were pretty close to 1.5 for the entire project. Just administratively, we couldn't find the money to put it together without borrowing, and then we laughed about it at the end, and, you know, there's gonna be a council 20 years from now that if we go ahead with just building the roads, it's gonna look back and say, well, why didn't they do it when it was only $1.5 million? Cause now it's X
Yeah.
amount of dollars, so.
But again, too, you know, there might,
It
it
just
might be
comes
an
down to
opportunity if we do sell one or two of the other lots that want, like Kim said, you know, a different size of line, you know, then we don't have to rip up the road again, you know. So, it's a toss-up. The base work is probably our most essential, right, more curb and gutters and base work.
The base work, curb and gutter help us handle some of the drainage issues that are along that road as well, which has been a major concern over the years. So,
I'll make a motion to go ahead with the road work and defer the sewer and water
It would just be to go ahead with the local improvement plan as approved.
as previously approved.
Okay, so Paul moves to go ahead with the local improvement plan as previously discussed.
We're approved.
Approved. Any question on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried.
I will add the motion number that it was approved under.
Okay,
for
thank you.
purposes of-
I would assume.
Okay, moving on to 5.5, Alberta, Southern Alberta Emergency Management Resource Sharing Agreement.
Hopefully this one was fairly straightforward in the explanation. It kind of came in last minute. Saw the email that I received last week. They had some trouble getting answers back from everybody, getting the signatories back to this agreement. We have a resolution from 2007 saying that we are a partner in this agreement, so you don't really have to do that. You just have to make a motion that you agree with the amendments to the agreement. So, and it seems how it's been in place for a year, and we felt that we've been using it, so it's more of a clarification for them.
I'll move that then.
Okay, Lorna moves that we,
Adds
this-
another level of protection.
Would this be part of the, you know, the intermunicipal development plan at any point, or?
It will be included as a list in our ICFs as an agreement that we're portioned for shared resources.
Okay.
It'll have a lot more bearing on our emergency management plan, because it's included as part of it.
on one area, it says that it's sent here, but, Vulcan County is, call is answered by fire chiefs and emergency managers alike in Medicine Hat, Pittsburgh Town, Tabor, Vulcan County. But yeah, they're not a signature.
I know, and then this is the part that there's a fall through in it, because he actually, Stuart actually sat on the board, the committee that made the amendments. He was one of the,
Original.
yeah. So, yeah, a new leadership group that would begin the review of the agreement on the area resource sharing. The call was answered by fire chiefs and emergency managers alike from the city of Medicine Hat, Pitcher Creek, Willow Creek, town of Tabor, Vulcan County, Colehurst, city of Lethbridge, and Lethbridge County. But yeah, like Tom said, if you look at the list of who they have receipt of signatories, even though he was on the committee, Vulcan County has yet to submit
Not
their.
that that matters, we don't have to.
And that's what they're sending out, is making sure that we all have our resolutions that say that you want to continue being part of this.
I'll move we
Oh,
approve
Lorna.
the amendment.
Lord
Lorna.
already moved it.
Sorry?
Yeah, sorry, that's okay.
Didn't want to steal your thunder.
No, she moved it, but we hadn't.
Then I started
Made a
talking.
motion.
Okay, so any other questions on this one? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to the committee reports. We have one that was submitted. Any questions on that one for Paul? Okay, hearing none, somebody wish to move the committee reports? George Lee? Any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, moving on to councilor reports, so we might as well start with Mr. Taylor, I guess.
Fresca is the only meeting I went to other than the hospital groundbreaking.
Any questions for Paul?
And you should have watered the area first to make it a little softer.
No, that's either water like crazy now, so. Now they're gonna dig it up with a hoe.
When are they starting?
Hopefully.
Hopefully the 15th, I think is what they're.
Okay.
George Lee,
Yeah, I was also at the groundbreaking, and the only one I had was FCSS and the food bank. We had supper with the library at our last meeting, and that went really good. Got a chance to meet all the gals that work in the library, and most of them I knew, but there was one or two I didn't. The new door is in now, that goes from the conference room out by the coolers, the big cooler and the big fridge, so now we have an exit to get out of that room with. We had advertised for members at large. We had 3, and we got 1 more that submitted a letter, Jen Formsway, so she'll be on the committee now. And let's see, the food bank, they've got new intake forms for the food bank, and they're hoping that'll cut down on some people that frequent all the food banks, all the different areas. So they say so far it seems to be working pretty good. The food bank is really low right now too on everything, so they could use anything that people want to drop off. They could sure use it. The food bank is really low. But they will be closed from July 23rd to August 7th.
so there's nobody that need the food,
If you're hungry, that's
time to go on holidays too.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So, and that's what I'll have.
okay, any question, oh, George.
Just a quick question, you had mentioned about kind of people somewhat abusing.
Mhm.
Is that common in our community?
Yes, it is.
Well, they go from
Really?
community to community, so they'll go to
Yeah.
Nantons and then to High Rivers and Okotoks.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll do Claire's home, like they'll do all of them.
This would be nice if you had some kind of,
Central database.
yeah, to just call it up from everywhere to see if that
But I
name
think one
appears.
of the new stipulations on the new form will be you have to put your address down now. So, and I know the other food banks are doing it. So you have to have like ID with that address on it.
It's just a disappointment in a way, I mean, I'm not saying that some of them, but I think some of them are trying to make a living out of it.
That just seems even more wrong than,
Then right.
yeah, that's kind of the story, exactly that, right? And you hope that having a little bit more.
It's a handout instead of a hand up. Okay, any other questions?
Sorry, and what was the date that it was closed again?
It's gonna be closed from July 23rd to August 7th.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay, Lyle.
I too was at the groundbreaking. I had no regular scheduled meetings. Our MPC meeting for this month has been canceled, postponed. And just a side note, I was in the south end of Alberta Saturday and 3/4 of the way, well, halfway north yesterday. I see signs out for potential provincial election coming up. If the Chamber of Commerce is not going on back on track by then, if anyone wants a political forum, it's going to be up to another group to do so. So unless people step up to get the chamber going again, we're going to need something like that, if that's what people want. So I just thought I'd pass that.
Have they been advertising to try to get it back up and going?
There's just been a little bit of word of mouth. I've had a couple of people say they'd be interested, but we need more than one people. One people.
One people's, one people
Yeah.
and their friends?
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, if we did get more people expressing an interest, maybe in September could hold another public meeting to see if we could get enough people to get it going again. Cause, yeah, it would be nice to get that going, even just for the for the political forums and that, because there's
Yeah.
provincial election.
And
coming up
federal.
probably.
And federal.
Yeah, both of those are coming up next year, so you're right, Lyle, that would be a huge asset, because the nice thing about the Chamber of Commerce doing it is that theoretically they're an independent body with theoretically very little political ties, so they're a great group to do it, so. And they've done an excellent job over the years, so.
I think a lot of people have just forgotten that the chamber isn't up and running anymore.
Well, it would be a bit of a tie to it, so it bugs me that it's not going, but you don't really want to start anything now because it's summer, because people are gone. But I mean, if we can get the word out end of August, beginning of September, and
We'll
try and,
beat bushes and try to get some people.
yeah, start dragging people in and get that going again, I think. Because we're missing out again on another Year's Tea Awards, again, because those were very popular. And just to get some community business involvement.
I think sometimes too, when something drops and stops, and there is a renewed interest, sometimes
Yeah.
people say, oh, I didn't realize
Well, that's
all the things they
What we
did,
hope
so.
for.
That's what we got when Howard was president, and then he stepped back. There was an emergency meeting to get people to come, and that's when we got a new group of people, and it was energetic and going. And then after a few years, it kind of fell off to the side. So yeah, that might be just what's needed.
All right, any questions for Lyle? You're up there, Laura.
Okay, I had VBIT. There was some discussion, VTV is going to be its own entity. So they're moving towards VTV not being under the VBIT umbrella, being kind of their own thing. That was the biggest topic of conversation. I also was at the library FCSS dinner. It was nice to meet the people that work in the neighboring space there and get to know if somebody asks you who you send them to. You know, have a face to put with a name. Tourism was canceled last week. And that's what I had.
Okay, any questions for all? Hearing none, move on to Michelle.
I didn't have any regular scheduled meetings, but did go to the groundbreaking, which was awesome, other than kind of the bit of the wind. And also had a meeting with Ursula Sherwood from Community Futures. We've been kind of getting together to make sure and go through and say, okay, are we getting the most as a community out of that? Because they have so many different programs on the go, and it hasn't been reviewed in forever in terms of like from Vulcan as a community. So we're just kind of going through and seeing where there's opportunities and making sure that we are getting our best involvement. And also kind of as an aside, something that Community Futures is just looking into and starting to get going, which I think is really neat, is the Nest and Community Futures are trying to start a partnership and effort to put together a women's conference for the Foothills region, proposing women in business, including female entrepreneurs as well as women in the workforce. So that's kind of exciting and possibly really cool. And yeah, just getting ready for the hopefully well-populated engagement session.
Okay, any questions for Michelle?
Michelle, I saw Ursula in town was last week, and she was handing out posters for the children or the kids camp, entrepreneurial camp. Is there? I mean, I got a couple posters for that, but I haven't seen anything else up. Are they doing a big social media blitz on that too? Because I, if my kid was young enough, I'd be sending him to that, but I don't know how many people know about it.
Well, and that's it. It is fairly limited kind of for attendance. It's an absolutely phenomenal program. She's, when she was in town doing the honey, I don't think they have much social media. Like I know they have it on their website. And I believe they have it on their Facebook account, but it's not, they haven't been hugely promoting it. And actually one thing that also when she was down, that we're talking about is they do like a summer mentoring program for youth age 14 to 18, I believe. And she's looking at hopefully expanding that so it's year-round as well. And really hoping to start working with the school to get that awareness and to get these programs really successful. So that's kind of exciting too. There's Community Futures has a lot of really great projects coming up.
Okay. Rhonda?
Okay, I had the Marquis Foundation and with some newly found government funding, they're able to put in 6 new furnaces in our self-contained units.
Oh, good.
For any ones that have, I guess some of those furnaces have been there since day one, so this is kind of a, I guess, hoping to prevent things. And some eavesdropping, and I'm not quite sure about that, and unfortunately I didn't write it out. We've had a request from 6 residents at the lodge to build or purchase an enclosure for the scooters. So what we decided we would do would be similar to what we've asked Kim to do before in the past, is we've asked Marty to get the cost of it and find if there's even a land location you could do it, because they would like it close to the building, which is also another issue, and how much it really would cost, and whether there are, you know, if it's an enclosed space, is there going to be, you know, air quality issues or not. So she's going to put together a little report for us so we can address these concerned residents. And Colliers that are doing the viability and feasibility study have been out to all the self-contained units and to Peter Dawson Lodge to start the assessment for the viability study. I haven't heard anything else. I do have to go over there on Wednesday, so I may hear more. The Health and Wellness had their regular meeting on June 27th, and they also had their annual general meeting on June 27th, and we had 0 people show up. So not members of the public, not the members themselves were there.
What time did it start?
1 o'clock.
Because I went over there about 1:45, and it was already in progress. The door was closed and there was a
But
bunch
that
of
was the
people.
no, that was the regular meeting.
Oh.
That wasn't, the annual general didn't start till, actually it didn't start till about 10 after 1.
Oh, because I went over and I looked in the window and there was everybody in there and the
Oh,
door was closed
that's
and
too
I
bad.
thought, oh, well, they've started it early. I must have had the time wrong.
Oh,
So
darn.
I left.
We would like to have been able to put a name down.
You have to kick the window in next time.
Yeah,
So I maybe they would look like they were really gross in conversation, so I didn't want to go barging in this room and.
no, that was,
Oh, that's too
well,
bad.
we had at 11:30, we started our regular meeting, and it
Okay.
went till just shortly after 1, and then we started the annual general meeting
Yeah, 'cause
at
it was
1.
about 10 when I went over.
That might be a comment, but, I mean, I'm not trying to do 2 meetings in a row, but there is that perception
That
that
you're
can
in the
happen,
inter-
that you can
yeah.
say, well, you know, they're already started or else they're into something else. And
Yeah.
instead of saying, no, we're gonna stop at 1:45 and for
Yeah,
any
'cause I
of our
was
groups,
there.
you know, like,
Well,
because it
and
is
then
kind
the
of
window-
intimidating. You
Well,
look in
and down there, because there's just that little
Yeah.
window in that door, perhaps we should have it, the door blocked open. And then someone could see if someone came, we could say, oh, please come in.
Yeah, it might be something, you know, for any
Sure.
group, you know,
Yeah.
because you wanna monopolize on the
The
time.
fact that we would have someone who would have
Have
been
people
acceptable.
interested.
I would have, I was there.
Yeah. Well, no, not the Health and Foundation, I don't believe it is a public meeting.
They had the door closed, so.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's just because that door just swings closed, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think it probably was meant to be closed for,
But anyway,
keeping people. Oh, darn, okay, I'll bring that back to them. They will be having casino July 22nd and 23rd, and Gail had sent out a reminder today. They were still 1 or 2 people short, so if you know of anyone that could fill in. And I will go up after we do council meeting on the 23rd from here and do the count room. And I was at the groundbreaking ceremony. they had no idea what to expect, but I think they were generally pleased with the turnout. Just as, these are asides, the Canada Day celebration July 1st seemed to be well attended, quite well attended over at the pool area. The sign at the cemetery, Norma Alder came in and asked me to go see it, and she is just tickled pink. And it looks very good, so that is really nice to see. And I have a question that I was going to ask while we were being videoed, because I've had several people ask me, and I can't remember who they were now, so why do the electronic speed zones not always indicate your speed?
They shut off and come on and off.
How
So
come?
we have them set for times, so, mostly to save on battery power right now, because we don't have a peace officer out there to change them all the time.
Okay.
So they're scheduled to come on between certain hours, and then they turn off in between registering somebody's speed.
Okay, because the last, quite a few times I've gone through, it hasn't registered.
Battery's done
Oh,
on that.
okay, so now whoever I will forget to tell, they can see it on BTV. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else for Lana?
I apologize, I didn't have it written down. On this past Saturday was the Community Features AGM, as well as their annual shindig, and with Kenny out of town, I brought my alternate as a date, because it just kind of made sense. They had a really great turnout. Their AGM was an eye-popping 9 minutes?
Yes, 9 minutes.
Long start to finish. So I think everybody was really anxious to kind of get to dinner and golfing and all that stuff, because it was open at golf course.
Dinner was delicious.
They had fantastic attendance. Who were the gals? Carol from SCSS, as well as
Joanne Juice was also there.
from Vulcan. So they had a really great turnout, not just for community features members, but guests as well. So I apologize, that was.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question for Lorna.
Sure.
The empty rooms, is it just a rumor that they're gonna be looking at homeless kids to fill them?
There are so many rumors out there. Would you like me to give you a list of the other ones?
No, that's the only one I just was curious about, that's all.
Yes, I've heard that one too.
Okay.
And I think that we're always looking for suggestions as to what to do, but we are kind of focusing in on a viability study right now. So.
Okay.
But there have been a few more move in.
Yeah, but they've also lost.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I think it's kind of a revolving door.
I think they had 3 move in and 1 move out, so.
Yeah. And I think one other one was going in 1st of August, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I was just curious about if it was still on the table or if it was just a rumor.
Well, I think it was, someone said, is there a possibility? And we discussed it, and that was kind of how it was left. And we are open to any suggestions that we may have.
Okay, thanks, Lauren.
okay, anything else for now? Okay, move on to me, I guess. The only one I had was the groundbreaking, and thank you everybody for showing up. It was, it was a great event. It was kind of neat to see how none of us were scripted of what we could talk about or not. And it was kind of neat how we all kind of picked a different direction to go and speak on, so. But yeah, hopefully they're talking the 15th of the month to the end of the month. It depends on their mobilization to get in there. Build a bit of a road to get into the site and then get started on the site. So it's looking good. So hopefully a year and a half to it'll be done. It'll be a painful year and a half, I'm sure, for some of them. But then, yeah, that's great. Anything for me? Okay, moving on to administrative report. Oh, I'm sorry.
Receive the committee.
Yeah, somebody wish to move receive the council, Laura? Thank you, Laura. Any questions on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. And thank you, Kim, for catching me. Okay, moving on again to the administrative reports.
They didn't scan in exactly the same order, but scan
That's
right
right.
there.
Yeah. Any question on Nancy's portion of the report? Because there's more to it farther up, I think, too, isn't there? No, farther
No.
down, I should say. Isn't after yours, Nancy, have something else, or did you just
No.
go to Stu's and?
No, it goes right into Stu's.
Okay. Okay, so anything on Nancy's? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next one, which is Kim's CA report.
Chance to go through it, pretty straightforward last couple of weeks. Most noteworthy is the CPO recruitment process. We received 13 applications. We have shortlisted 3, 1 declined an interview because they took a position somewhere else. And so we're kind of going through the applications, of course, but we do have 2 lined up for the 18th. We're going through because the CPO applications, I've got a message into SolGen looking at out-of-province reciprocity and that sort of thing. And some clarification on what responsibilities. One of the equivalent educations is a 2-year diploma in criminal justice. A couple of the applicants have that, but they don't have any working experience. But their appointments are limited when they're given, so they can't do traffic, that sort of thing. So I have to look into what kind of training. So I'm doing a little bit of more research. So just to answer that question of why the cutoff for the 29th and why the interviews were 2 weeks later, it's to make sure that we have all that information before we interview anybody. Because we didn't receive an overwhelming amount that could just start immediately. So we want to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to put their best foot forward and let us know what their credentials are. So that's where we're at with that. Other than that, a little bit of training, and I've reapplied for my position on the Alberta Water and Wastewater Advisory Committee with the province. Unless anybody in this room says no, don't do it. But, other than that, just normal business. There was, from that list, unless anybody has any questions for me. I believe the commercial property owner that I spoke to, I believe he is now satisfied. He had a good conversation with our assessor and now understands what the value of his property is. He was pretty adamant that it wasn't worth anything until somebody offered to write him a check for nothing. So.
Okay. Anything on Kim's action list?
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it looks good, thank you. Okay, moving on to Mr. Birch's.
Stu did want me to let council know that the entrance to Main Street, I'm sure you all, when you come in from the north, the area that's sunken around that valve, it's fairly bumpy in that area. We have a company coming in on Thursday that is going to do a new patching method in there, and they're doing it as an experiment, so there is no cost to it. We're gonna see how it'll work, see how it holds up. So worst case scenario, if it doesn't hold up, we'll have to take it out and relay it, but it needs work done there anyway, so that's gonna happen next Thursday.
Be by any chance doing the First Street South about, I'm gonna say between Second and Third Avenue, in front of a house.
Oh, the sewer line path
Yeah.
repair in there. They've been out patching every day, and so they started again this week.
Oh,
So-
yeah, I saw them patching the smaller holes, but that's quite a big dip.
Yeah, they're working on trying to get as much done as they
I was
can.
just wondering if this company wanted to
Oh,
go out there
no,
and
no,
try
not
that.
Sure wakes you up when you hit it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when the sun is really in your eyes and you
You
forgot.
don't see it? Yeah, I don't know if.
Good speed bump in reverse.
Okay, is there anything else on Mr. Burgess?
So the problem with the lights and the conductor, or not,
Contact.
The contactor?
and,
That was,
see, I know so much about these things.
that was,
so-
when we replaced all the lights across there, we didn't replace any of the original electrical. So that's one of the original contactors from,
So that's quite normal for it to bite the dust.
well.
Probably 30
it's-
years
Yeah,
old.
it's a
Okay.
30-year-old piece of equipment, so.
It
And
used to be that when you drove by, you could hear it with your windows rolled up and your music on.
hear it coming.
So I wasn't shocked that when it finally decided to die, so.
Well, and yeah, they blew a bunch of fuses because of course they tried to remake contact several times before deciding that it needed replaced.
Thought maybe it had something to do with our new lights.
No, matter of fact, our new lights should, put less load on it than,
Then the,
So it might have done this sooner had.
yeah.
So with the asbestos,
yes.
there was a previous test that was positive, or?
There was a contractor that came in and had tested and informed us that there was. And so we retested and found out that there was not. So when Stu says he's looking into it, he is investigating why they would tell us. We think that it was just to get themselves a fairly expensive contract to remove it. So, and by doing this and confirming it, we'll also be able to inform other people that go through this same process. Because the quote that we had for removal of it was almost $50,000.
So perhaps their name will be put on the not so good list.
Well, just make people aware that
Yeah,
that
to
it's,
do-
it's worth the time
to do
and
the-
the little bit of money to do the testing yourself.
Yeah,
Just in regards to the streetlights, I'm not sure if everyone has seen, but we've got some pretty positive feedback online regarding our streetlights. Is I forget the terminology, but some of the best people come in, and so especially the group of Klingons and people that come down to the Vulcan, it certainly is part of the tourist attraction, and that's great, because if it's eventually going all the way
Down Main
through
Street.
down Main Street, I mean, that's getting people into town.
I get a lot of comments on the lights at the store.
yeah, it's probably the most positive thing that I've heard about in quite a while, really. I mean, it really does look good, and it does have great light at night too, which a lot of people were concerned about. And I think that it's been a very positive move.
Well, you honestly look like you're going into what's going to be black or dark,
Yeah,
and you get there and it's so well lit.
yeah, the light pollution is
Very limited.
really reduced, so. Okay, is that $67.50 not a bad price for them?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay, well, that's good. I wasn't sure, I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
I'll,
sounds good.
I'll tell you a story after we're not on camera.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, anything else for Mr. Burgess? Okay, if not, we'll move on to Bonnie's Community Service Manager.
When Bonnie did the report, the summer games, of course, weren't completed, but we did very well. I don't have the exact medal count, but Vulcan and the Vulcan County area did very well for medals at the summer games this year.
So just the two of them, or did the other person go up to the summer games?
For staff members,
Yeah.
they alternated so that we always had somebody here.
In regards to tourism, like I had to call the information center last week, and I got their voicemail.
Okay.
It didn't say it was a tourism
Oh,
center. So I was just something I thought I'd bring up just because I wanted to make sure, well, I think I got the number right.
Maybe you didn't.
Maybe I didn't, but
You left somebody else a credit call.
yeah, but I just thought I'd bring that up.
Well, I'll just make a note for,
Check in.
to look into the voicemail.
I was
Tourist center.
Yeah, sponsorship for Vulcan, and I wasn't sure who to, they chance out to, so I called there and,
Sure.
so yeah, I wasn't sure if I got the right number, so I went down there myself just to make sure.
And there was people in there, right?
There was people, in there. Lots of cool stuff too.
We will check on the voicemail, for sure.
Okay.
You know, and that's probably one of the things that person most often doesn't do is phone your own number to see what you sound like or what you left for a message. So
Exactly.
it might be something that just was a blip or, thank you for bringing it up.
And it's nice to see that they have the numbers for,
It is nice
Yeah,
to have that back again.
to see how many people are going through the doors and attending. Yeah. I went by on Saturday and there was 6 vehicles in the parking lot, not including staff members, so it was nice to see.
and I don't know if anybody watches Global News in the morning. There's a couple people on there, one's a Star Trek fan, one's a Star Wars fan. They had some deliberation. I happened to be going up to the Calgary Real Estate Board that day, so I was tweeting them, and I dropped off some Vulcan pens, town of Vulcan pens, so with any luck, we'll get a little bit more advertising out of it.
Excellent.
Okay, anything else on Bonnie's? Okay, moving on to fire department. Yeah.
Apparently on social media, there was a couple of adverse comments. And
There's quite a few.
I would suggest to those people, maybe they should volunteer.
Was that the 20 minutes to get,
The timeline when it was actually 9, yeah.
yeah, because someone
Yeah.
posted on there was odd.
And these are volunteers. I know for the fire chief, assuming he's right by his vehicle when the alarm goes and is realizing this, he's at home. Now he's got a 3.5 mile drive in. How fast do you go? You're still looking at 3 or 4 minutes by the time he gets there. So I don't think the criticism is warranted, but that's a personal opinion.
Seems longer when you're standing there.
Oh, yes.
It really does.
Absolutely.
Because from my house, that looked like my mom's rental house, like it's like exactly 1 block behind. So I went over to make sure her house wasn't on fire. And it does seem like a lot longer when you're standing there waiting.
Not able to do anything.
Exactly. Or pull some gumption and do something.
Which actually goes back to first response and that sort of thing. Wait till you're waiting for an ambulance. It's a long, long time.
It feels like a long, long time.
Yes.
Would be a good lead into the next conversation.
That's right. Well, any other questions on Peter's report? Okay, if not, we have one to kind of add, to kind of semi into Peter's, but
It's not to add to the, for any decision from council unless you would like to take it any further, but because of the fire with the recycling, Dick Ellis, who is responsible for all of the buildings and the receptacles that are out there, we own the lot and the waste commission owns the building and the bins. He talked to me about what they're going to do, so I wanted to give council a quick update. Of course, it doesn't really fall under our committee reports, but Thursday, Shawnee will be in to get rid of the shell of the building and get that cleaned up. They're gonna take the whole thing to a transfer site, not ours, but so It'll be removed off-site Thursday, and Dick wanted to bring it to council's attention that this is the perfect opportunity, if you would like to have a discussion on if you would like it put in a different place in town, or any changes to it at this point. So he preemptively talking about it. I did talk to Stu and Nancy, and internally we talked about it. And the only one suitable place that we came up with that it could possibly go would be on the parking lot portion between the dog park and the solar park, mostly because it's visible from the store, that sort of thing. One of the bad portions of that is the wind comes straight down that hill, and it could cause some of that debris to end up on CP's land and or the neighboring land. And just by the way we've dealt with CP the last little while, they're not real keen on keeping their stuff as clean as we think it should be, so that might cause an issue for us. So from administration, when we talked about it, the lot that it's on, because everything's on skids and can easily be removed, if somebody is interested in the lot, it is still available, but it's a pretty reasonable spot for us, the way it is.
The parking area by the dog park, we don't own that though, do we?
No, we do not.
No, it's ours.
We lease it.
lease it. So it is theoretically ours to do whatever we wish with.
Okay, we don't need to have another conversation with them?
No, I don't think so. As long as we look after it and keep it clean and
Yeah.
tidy, that's part of
Our
that.
contract just says that we need to contact them if we're doing any ground disturbance.
Yeah.
We're not
Okay.
supposed to. So, having said that, that's kind of, I said I would bring it up to council if you, again,
I mean, there's advantages to leaving where it is, because, you know, the public has had an opportunity to haul their recyclables to that site for probably at least 20 years, I would
almost,
think.
yeah.
It is, like Kim said, it does belong to the town, the land, but yet the Waste Authority does, you know, supply us with containers and a facility. So the downfall, I guess, is that, you know, is it the place that it should be long-term, or should we try and find another location for it? And like Kim says, here's an opportunity to move it if we wish, because of the,
This is the second time it's burned?
that's the second time,
Second time.
yeah.
So has there been
Second
any-
time to the ground, it's the third fire. The first one was
Yeah.
just internal.
Yes,
It
yeah.
didn't-
Did too much, so.
So has there been a lot of controversy over having it there, you know?
I don't think so.
I've never heard anybody,
I've
but I
never,
just
I don't
wondered,
think any of
yeah.
the neighbors have issues. I think that for a while there, we had a resident that used to go in and, you know, help,
Stop the cardboard.
you know, and move stuff around and help out, but he's not with us anymore, so. But I think, you know, overall, it's been fairly decent. I mean, the bad thing, Kim and I talked about it earlier too, is that unfortunately that lot, you know, does have a few, you know, badger holes and you know, divots and stuff in it, but, you know, once they move it off, you might have a chance to go in there and
Grade it up again.
level it out again and, you know, try and eliminate some of those for a bit, but.
So it was more, again, Dick said in his conversation, this is a perfect opportunity to give it any reconsideration if you would like to. If not, they're gonna put it back. The only change that they said that they'll most likely move the building further back from the neighboring property. So,
Do they have any idea how it started or why?
no, they're investigating it still.
Okay, so if there's no, we'll just tell Kim to
Yeah.
go ahead and
Leave it where it is.
see where it's at. Okay. So anything else on any of those reports?
The only thing I had heard from some people was that how lucky we are to have something in our town for recycling.
Oh, it is great,
So-
yeah, yeah.
That was from people from out of town.
We've had a tremendous amount of phone calls about what to do with recycling. I have a 4-year-old that's very concerned.
That's good.
Because that's what we do on Saturday.
Okay, so anything else on any of those reports? If not, somebody wish to file the reports? File. Any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, last motion. Michelle? Any question on Michelle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. We are officially, 3:05.